Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over 5 advanced techniques for console Fortnite players. I don't really have a specific theme for these techniques. They aren't all building or editing tips, they aren't all aiming tips. It's basically a nice little mixture of all those things. And despite labeling the techniques as quote-unquote advanced because a few of them will take some practice to get down, they're all definitely doable on 60 FPS as long as you at least have average level mechanics. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so the first advanced technique I want to cover here is something I call crouch strafing, and why it's probably the most effective movement technique in the entire game. So this is actually something that I picked up from watching Muhammad SR4. I did kind of a VOD review style video on him a few weeks ago, but this was something I actually picked up a few days after, so it wasn't included in that video. So the main and most effective situation to use crouch strafing is in point blank range fights where you're using an SMG, and I guess attack shotgun would also work fine with this as well. As you can see in these two video clips, Muhammad is constantly bouncing his character model up and down while also moving either left or right at the same time. And as he's doing both of those motions, he's barrel stuffing the enemy with his SMG the entire time. So on their own, crouch spamming and strafing in point blank range fights are pretty effective techniques as a whole, but they also have some significant weaknesses. The main positive of crouch spamming is that your head is constantly changing levels vertically, so that makes it almost impossible for the enemy to hit you unless they just get a really lucky shot. However, the negative is since you don't move left to right at all while crouch spamming, even though the enemy may not land any headshots, it's going to be pretty easy for them to hit multiple body shots in a row. And then with strafing, it's basically the polar opposite of that. You're moving left to right, so the enemy can't just keep their crosshair in one spot and land a bunch of body shots, but since your head stays at the same level the entire time, an enemy with good tracking can easily land a shotgun headshot. And that's a little less devastating now since the headshot multiplier is 1.5x instead of 2, but 1.5 is still a lot better than 1, so getting headshotted still sucks. So based on what I just said, I think you guys can understand why Muhammad and a lot of other good controller players use crouch strafing in close range fights. If you do it correctly, your head's going to be bobbing up and down, making it almost impossible to hit, and at the same time, your body's going to be going left and right, making it harder for the enemy to even hit body shots. And I think this technique works especially well when barrel stuffing, because since aim assist is so strong in that situation, you're barely going to have to move your crosshair to follow the enemy, and because of that, you can focus a lot more on your individual movement. I also want to point out that some players use this technique in medium range AR situations as well. I personally think it's much less effective there, but I at least understand why they do it. If you're crouch strafing while shooting an AR, you're going to be a lot harder to hit and borderline impossible to headshot snipe or even get sniped in general. Plus, a super small added bonus is that since you're spam crouching, your crosshair will get a little tighter than if you were just normally strafe shooting. The next advanced technique that I want to cover in this video is a building one, and it's blocking off enemy launch pads once they place them. This is a technique that really requires no mechanical skill whatsoever. It's all about quick thinking and fast reaction time. A common play that people will make all the time in Fortnite when they're weak or they feel like they're just losing a fight is place down a launch pad, immediately jump on it, and then fly away to safety while hoping they don't get beamed out of the air. However, if you can block the launch pad and prevent the enemy from flying away, they're going to have no clue what just happened, they're going to be super dazed and confused, and it's going to be a super easy kill. So there's two relatively easy ways to accomplish this. The first one is what you want to do when you're on roughly the same level the pad is placed at. As you'll see in this clip, as soon as I hear the pad being placed directly below me, I immediately place a super simple cone right on top of it. Because that cone is there, the enemy obviously can't use the pad, and since it's my cone, they can't just edit through it. That pad is, for all intents and purposes, only mine now. If the enemy were to try to destroy the cone, I just laser them while they were focusing on that. The other situation where you can block a pad is if you're a few levels above it. This one's definitely a tad bit more difficult, and I only have 2 clips of me barely failing to do it, but the idea here basically is, as soon as you hear the pad get placed down, you immediately start building floors to try to block the area directly above it. If done correctly, the enemy will hit the pad and think they're totally fine at first, but then about halfway up, they're gonna hit their head on your floor, fall to the ground, and now you're gonna have a great opportunity to clean up that kill. So definitely a bit of a situational technique, but you'll see pros especially use it all the time, and I really like that it's super easy to do if you're a quick thinker. The next technique that we're going to cover in this video is editing an enemy down onto you. Again, much like the last one, this is definitely situational like most advanced tips are going to be, but also like the last one, the mechanical skill requirement to do this is actually pretty low. So editing an enemy down onto you is something that you want to do when you're boxed up and the enemy's on top of your roof. Maybe they're trying to spray in, or they're just trying to break into your box with their pickaxe while standing on top of it. In this situation, these players that are going on the offensive really feel like they have nothing to fear. They're the ones with height, and they're just expecting you to turbo build your roof over and over again until they eventually phase through. So a really powerful play that you can make here is just to do a super simple 2-tile edit towards whichever side they're standing on, like in this clip, and now you're in a point blank range fight that you should be more prepared for since you initiated it. Granted, in that clip, I don't really know what happened to my aim, and I almost ended up totally choking it and dying, but it should go much better for you. I always talk about how important it is to turn defense into offense in box fights because most enemies won't be expecting that, so the technique I just showed is a great way to do that in a less than conventional situation, and you'll catch really good players doing it fairly frequently. Our fourth technique that I want to showcase in this video is something I call the cone box combo. Although pros definitely use every technique on this list, this one is probably the one that you'll see used the most. This is something that you want to do when an enemy's ramping up pretty much directly in front of you. You start by placing a cone to block them from continuing to go up, which is something that most people are comfortable doing in this situation, but then you want to take it a step further by surrounding them with walls on as many sides as possible. Just doing the cone alone is definitely a solid play because more average skill players will really panic when that happens to them, and most times that results in you easily being able to clean up the kill. But what better players will do when they get coned is either instantly turn to the side and start ramping that way, or even easier, they'll just turn to the side, jump down, and box up, so now you would need to deal with that. But if you can get those walls around the enemy, they're pretty much totally screwed. They obviously can't really edit out of anywhere because all the pieces around them are yours, and if they do try to destroy something, that gives you an easy opportunity to edit in and absolutely blast them. So like a lot of the other techniques so far, this one really isn't super mechanically challenging. It's basically just placing a cone and 2 to 3 walls, but your reaction time needs to be on point for it to work. The final trick that I want to show off in this video is one that 72 Hours made popular about a week ago. It's super situational, but it's without a doubt the easiest trick to use from this video. So something that players will do a lot, especially in competitive, is sit inside a cone, edit it, and then just stay in that edit menu because the cone becomes transparent and they can see all around them. But obviously from the outside, the cone isn't going to be transparent for enemies, it's just going to look like a normal cone to them that they can't really see through. So it can be kind of scary sometimes, especially during endgame rotations, because you never really know if an enemy is just hiding in some random cone waiting to edit out and blast you. However, one thing you can do to check this is if you pull out your building menu and put your crosshair on a normal cone, nothing will happen. But then if you put your crosshair on a cone that an enemy's inside of holding edit on, a little red lock will pop up inside the middle of it. So that's just a super simple way that literally takes no effort at all to do a quick check from the outside and see whether an enemy is hiding inside of any cone. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down in the comment section below. Out of the 5 tricks/techniques that I showcased in this video, which one do you use the most when you personally play Fortnite? And if you feel like you don't use any of them or didn't know any of them before this video, you can say that too. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.